गुड। चलिए शुरू करते हैं रेव रैक। सो व्हाट वी हैव सीन सो फार इज अ थ्री स्टेप. So revenue recognition accounting model. Overall, we have a five-step approach. First step is to identify the contract with the customer. Second, performance obligation. Third, determine the transaction price. These three steps we have done so far. Under a contract with customer, हम लोग क्या identify कर रहे हैं? It could be a writing, it could be a oral. As long as we have a 5 points satisfied, which are the 5 points that parties have approved the contract and they are committed to perform. Both the party knows their rights and their obligations. Payment terms can be identified. Now, why this is important? We have seen in the last session that if the payment terms are beyond 12 months, then we assume there is a significant financing component involved. And when there is a significant financing component involved, we break our contract value into two parts. How much will go towards a revenue and how much will go towards the interest income. Fourth condition, contract has a commercial substance. It means because of the activity, either profit loss, sales expense, or cash inflow, cash outflow, it is going to be impacted for the entity. Basically, it's not a dummy transaction, it's a real economic transaction. And number five, you assume that whatever you are going to sell today, ultimately you are going to collect all the amount. So consideration is a probable. So this was the step one. In step two, we are supposed to identify the key performance obligation. Performance obligation का मतलब क्या है? What is your core deliverable? Why the customer is coming to you, where he can get the value. We saw few example and it's a judgment call at a lot of time. Suppose you are going into a night stay for a Taj hotel. So for Taj, the stay it's the primary performance obligation. Dinner services, food services, it may be, it may not be. Why? Because let's say Taj have their separate restaurant as well, and people go to Taj for the food as well. So if Taj assumes that a food service is also a primary service, then that's a separate performance obligation. But let's say laundry services or iron cloth services, they are not the key performance obligation. Or let's take an example of a CPA firm. If CPA firm is giving a accounting services, it's a performance obligation. Auditing service, it's a performance obligation. Income tax filing services, it's a performance obligation. But let's say we are also giving a service to print out the income tax return. So that's not the performance obligation, that's the administrative work. Filing of the documents and punching into into a file. Not a key performance obligation, just a admin services. So if a service can be identifiable separately and customer can be benefited from it separately, then it's a key performance obligation. Then step number three, we saw what is the transaction price. Transaction price is nothing but a contract value. Generally, it will be a fixed price, but you can have some variable components in the contract. The first variable component was a variable consideration. For example, your contract value is 1 million, but if you delivered the product within 3 months in advance, you get a 100K bonus. If you delay by 3 months or more, it's a 100K penalty. So you don't know what will happen in future. So you have to assume and take a judgment today that what is likely to be your contract price, such that a significant revenue reversal should not happen in the future. So today you cannot think that you will get a bonus. So your contract value is 1.1 million and ultimately it turns out to be a penalty. That's a risky approach. Generally, auditor will not accept it. However, you can have a safe approach that you start with a contract value of 900,000, assuming a contract will be delayed. And if you get everything on time, then you can record a one-time catch-up revenue upon the invoicing. And you had a significant financing component. So if you have a date when you get the money and the date when goods or services are delivered is more than 1 year, then it's an interest component involved. So you are not only selling the goods or the services, you are also giving the loan to the customer. Non-cash consideration, we are yet to see it. So after a couple of sessions, we will see the complex part. And the last is the consideration payable to the customer. So if you give any money back to the customer and give him an option to consume that money in future, so it is recorded as a reduction of the revenue. So for example, loyalty points, merchant points. For example, you go to a shopping market, purchased a shirt for you for $1,000, you get $100 of reward. So store will recognize only 900 revenue today. Once you come back again to use the voucher of $100, they will recognize the another revenue of $100. So this is what all we have done so far. Now we are going to move today in step number 4, which is a allocation of a transaction price. So now why again the sequence is important? Because first of all, you need to identify step number 2, performance obligation. Assume you have a 3 performance obligation. Now you have a 1 contract value and a 3 performance obligation. So yeah, you need to allocate the total contract value into a various performance obligation by using a certain methodology. So let's go to the first Excel. Let's draw a one example and try to understand how allocation will work under the various methods. So let's take an example. Saad becomes a CPA and you are providing a CPA services. Let's assume there is a Pepsi company that has come to you for, let's say, financial year 2028. Now, Pepsi company needs 3 services with you, and this is your rate card. That's a, let's say, menu. So whosoever comes, you charge this much of amount. Then let's say you have a discount, and let's say you have agreed contract. So let's say Pepsi company has agreed 3 services. Number one, they have agreed accounting services for entire year. And let's say you have a rate card of $10,000 for this, but we have given a 60% discount to Pepsi. And finally, you have agreed to give him services at $4,000. Number two, you have agreed for the auditing services after 15 days of your end. So let's say due on 15th of January 2029. For this, you are starting your field work on, let's say, 15th of December 2028, and you are giving the audit report on 15th of January 2029. And let's say you have two staff has worked for entire 1 month, and let's say the one audit partner, which is you, has worked for 1 week. That is in 2029. And let's say auditing services, your rate was, let's say, $18,000. We have agreed to give him a 50% discount, and then finally the pricing got closed was $9,000. The third one was a tax filing. Let's say due on 31st of January 2029. Your rate was, let's say, $10,000. You did not give any discount, and your pricing was $10,000. And okay, let's keep this services. So this is your total contract, which is agreed. So this is the signed and agreed by Pepsi and Sal CPA. Now let's just put when you are going to invoice them. You are going to invoice everything on 31st January 2029. Now, let's go step by step. Assuming step number one, is there a contract? Let's assume all the five conditions are fulfilled. So step one, contract is there. Step number two, identify the POB. Can you help me with what are the performance obligation in these examples?
Accounting services, audit
Like
and tax.
accounting services, auditing services, and tax services. So all three are my performance obligation. Now, the key change in this accounting standard, it doesn't matter what you have signed in the contract. So as per the signed contract, the value for accounting services are 4,000, value for auditing service are 9,000, and value for tax services are 10,000. So rate card, not important. Agreed contract value, not important. What is important? That is your step number three. So first of all, what is your contract value? Let's say your contract value, it's $23,000. Now we need to allocate the contract value based on the certain method. So I'll put step number four, allocation. Let's go one by one. So we have a first method. The first method is called adjusted market price method. So method one, this is called adjusted market price method. So what this method says, you identify a SSP, which is a standalone selling price or a fair value. It's an easy word, fair value. The more technical word, standalone selling price. Check in the market a similar CPA firm. If they would have given the same services to Pepsi, what would have been the standalone selling price or a fair value? Or let's take an example for a goods for a time being, because in service industry it's generally a judgment call. But let's say iPhone, and let's say iPhone 17 in India, let's assume it is being sold for 1 lakh rupees. If we go to UAE, the same product, let's say it's available for 3,000 dirhams. And let's say in US, the same product is available for $1,000. So these prices are called SSP, as per adjusted market price approach. Now suppose you have your own product which is very similar to iPhone, but you don't know what is the SSP. So you will check, you will do a market research, that if you sell the similar phone in the market, then what would be the price a customer would be paying to the other competitors. Let's say Saad, a CPA, is in the first year of the business, very new CPA, and a CPA with 1 year or less experience in the New York market is generally providing the accounting services for $3,000 annually, auditing services for let's say $15,000 annually, and taxation services for $18,000 annually generally. If a 1 year experienced CPA firm, Pepsi company goes to that CPA firm, a market research says that generally an accounting services will be charged for $3,000, auditing services will be charged for $15,000, and tax services will be $18,000. Now all these rates will be given to you in the exam, so you don't need to worry how to calculate. So this is called a standalone selling price. Step number two, you have to identify the ratio. So let's say what is the ratio? So 3000 by 15 by 36 and 18 by 36. The third step is allocated transaction price. So our contract value, it's $23,000, which we are going to bill and collect. So ultimately what we are saying that in the contract we have agreed accounting services for $4,000. But maximum revenue we can record for the accounting services are only 1917. Auditing service we are going to agree in the contract at $9,000. But maximum revenue can be recorded it's 9583. Tax filing services under the contract is $10,000, but revenue we are going to recognize is $11,500. And this is the change. It basically reflects into the definition of the accounting standard. एक बार वापस definition पे चलते हैं slide number 1 पे. So what are we saying? Revenue is recognized when entity satisfies or delivers a key promise by transferring a goods or a services at an amount reflecting the expected consideration. So this is the line, this is the word has changed all the scenario. So the amount is not amount as per the contract. Amount means amount which is reflected as per the fair value methodologies. So in this case, even though under the contract you are able to bill $4,000 to the customer, your maximum revenue can be only $1,900. Here you are going to bill 9,000, but your revenue will be 9,583. Here you are going to invoice them $10,000, but your revenue will be 11,500. This is called expected consideration as per the definition of our accounting standard. So this is your method number one, which is adjusted market price approach. What revenue will be recognized? So suppose accounting services you are giving over the 12 months. So every month you are going to recognize a revenue. So this is either per month or a revenue one time. Auditing services you are giving from 15 December to 15th of January. So 9583 divided by 31 days into 15 days in, let's say 16 days in December and then 15 days in January. So you are going to have a 2 months revenue, 15 days in December, 15 days in January. And tax services, it's a one-time services. You are just going to accumulate all the data and file the tax return. So one-time revenue will come. This is your step number 5. So we are not going there when a revenue will be one time versus when a revenue will be multiple period. What are the conditions there? But right now for us to, it's important to understand how a revenue base is created. So whatever examples we have seen so far like this, we always talk about what is the revenue base. So this slide is all about step number 4 is all about to understand what is the revenue base in a particular contract. Is first methodology clear to you? Adjusted market price approach.
Yes.
Okay, rest two methods, the calculation remains the same. It's just a theoretical point that gets changed. So method number 2, now it is called cost plus margin approach. Suppose you are only a CPA, let's say in the entire New York, nobody else there in the market. So you are not able to understand what is the market price there. So what accounting standard says that if you can't get market price, then go for your cost plus margin approach. So let's say in order to provide an accounting services, you hire a two junior accountants and for during the year you pay them a salary of $2,000 and you generally expect to earn a 20% profit on it. So let's say your cost of delivering the services will be $2,000 plus 20% of the profit, which comes to $2,400. For auditing services, you will need a one junior accountant, one audit manager, and obviously your remuneration as well. So let's say total cost to deliver the auditing services will be $10,000 plus you expect a 20% margin, then which comes to a $12,000. Let's say for the tax services, you need a big four CPA expert. So you need your compensation, let's say $10,000. You need a big CPA from the market. Let's say his compensation is $20,000. So total is $30,000. You again expect to make a 20% on this. So your total value will be $36,000. So your SSP changes here. The remaining calculation remains the same. You calculate the ratio. Now the value towards the revenue recognition for accounting services are 1095, auditing is 5476, and tax services are 16429. Just a way to calculate SSP. that is changed under method number 2, where you see your cost to deliver the services plus you add your expected margins. Clear with method number 2?
Yes.
Chaliye, let's go to method number 3. This is called a residual approach. Now, residual approach cannot be used very generally. It has a certain conditions. So when residual approach can be used? So residual approach can be used when you have a SSP available for all the item except one item. So hypothetically, you had an accounting services, let's say it has a market value of $3,000. Auditing service has a market value of $15,000. So you had a SSP available for first two products. You just don't know what is the SSP for tax services. You don't know what is the market rate. You also don't know how much cost will be involved to deliver the services. So the condition says that a residual approach can be used by an entity if entity has a SSP for all the services except one services, and the total signed contract value, remember the understand the word carefully, the total signed contract value is more than the value of SSP of identifiable product. So here what is the signed value? Signed value is 23,000. What is the value of identifiable SSP? So identifiable SSP, it's 18,000. So is signed value more than the value of identifiable SSP? Yes. So now balancing figure can be
How is
attributed.
it more? A
Okay.
sign. Oh, sign.
Signed value. So signed value of the contract is $23,000. What is the value of identifiable SSP? So you could identify the two SSP. The value of identifiable SSP are $18,000. So what is the residual left, which is a $5,000? So this is a residual which is left, can be straight away allocated to a third product for which SSP is not available. So if these two conditions are met, then and then only SSP under residual approach can be used. Hypothetically, your auditing service had a SSP of 25,000. So now the value of your identifiable services are 28,000. So this condition is not met. Signed value is 23,000, but the value of identifiable components of the SSP are more than contract value. So you cannot use residual approach. It is not allowed to be used. So the condition is number one, you should have SSP for all the component except one item. So in our example, we had SSP for accounting, we had SSP for auditing. We just not had a SSP for tax services. Number two, the signed contract value is more than the value of identifiable SSP. So we had an identifiable SSP of two item, which is $18,000. Signed value was $23,000. So $5,000, which is a balance left, can be attributable to a third performance obligation as a residual value. So these are the three methods which are allowed under the accounting standard to calculate the SSP. Based on the SSP, you will calculate the ratio and then you will allocate a transaction price to your performance obligations. कोई भी डाउट तीनों मेथड्स में?
Okay.
ठीक है, सो दिस इज योर स्टेप नंबर 4. एक बार चलते हैं पहले पीपीटी पे, फिर बुक एक बार देख लेते हैं. सो यहाँ पर आपको एसएसपी दे दी गई है, मे बी अंडर एनी मेथड. So you will be asked generally to calculate the allocated amount only in the exam. So for example, if you have a three performance obligation, software, installation and technical support, you have a SSP, then you calculate the ratio and whatever is the total contract value, you just allocate the amount into them. एक बार आपका बुक देख लेते हैं. चलिए एक बार 2.4 आप देख लो. along with the example number 4. उसके बाद हम लोग आगे चलते हैं. So I think 1 page, 2 page to see section 2.4 एक बार देख लो अब बैकर में.
Can we discuss what's written there? We haven't discussed it.
Which one?
Yes, a standalone selling price and discount. They're writing some different thing.
So discount का मतलब क्या होता है? Let's go to the example. In example number 1, method 1, your SSP is 36,000, but you are selling the services for 23,000. So 13,000 का जो gap है उसको technical word में discount बोलते हैं. Sorry, in the method 2 आपका SSP है 50,400, but you are selling for 23,000. तो ये जो 26,600 का difference है इसको technical word में बोलते हैं discount. So what language is saying that a discount exists when the sum of SSP for each obligation within the contract exceeds the total consideration under the contract. So sum of SSP is 36,000 or 50,000. Total consideration under a contract is 23,000. So difference between 36,000 and 23,000 is nothing but a discount. Okay? And the discount will be applied proportionately to all the performance obligation. So what we are doing basically, your total 23,000 ka jo contract value hai, we are allocating in this ratio. So technically, what is the discount? So let's say discount is 36,000 minus 23,000. So 13,000 we are basically allocating to all the performance obligation. If you see, this total is 13,000. So this is called a discount allocated. It's a technical word. ठीक है, clear है?
And then for variable consideration, what do you do?
So for example, same case. पेप्सी कंपनी ने बोला कि आपका कॉन्ट्रैक्ट वैल्यू हो गया 23,000. अगर आपने 31 जनवरी तक काम खत्म कर लिया, वैल्यू इज 23,000. लेकिन अगर काम डिले होता है, यू विल बी चार्ज अ $1,000 ऑफ पेनल्टी. सो नाउ यू अज्यूम कि आपका कॉन्ट्रैक्ट वैल्यू 23 होगा या 22 होगा. लेट्स से यू अज्यूम कि आपका काम डिले होने वाला है एंड योर कॉन्ट्रैक्ट वैल्यू इज लाइकली टू बी, द मोस्ट लाइकली अमाउंट विल बी 22,000 only. It means there is a $1,000 of penalty. अब ये जो पेनल्टी है $1000 की, ये भी आप सेम रेशियो में एलोकेट करोगे. सो योर रिवाइज्ड एलोकेटेड प्राइस नाउ it's going to be 1917 minus 83 minus 83. So this is your revised allocated price. तो वेरिएबल कंसिडरेशन भी अगर कुछ भी है तो वो भी आप हर एक परफॉर्मेंस ऑब्लिगेशन को सेम वे में एलोकेट करोगे, एक्सेप्ट अ वन चेंज हियर. अगर आपने जजमेंट लिया है कि आपका अकाउंटिंग सर्विसेज तो टाइम पे ही खत्म हो जाएगा, अकाउंटिंग सर्विसेज विल नॉट कॉस्ट द डिले, ऑडिटिंग सर्विस भी आपका टाइम पे हो जाएगा, बट ओनली द डिले कैन हैपन बिकॉज ऑफ योर टैक्स सर्विसेज. इफ दैट इज योर जजमेंट, then accounting standards allow you to allocate entire penalty towards a single performance obligation only. So if you can attribute a variable consideration to a one performance obligation, allocate to that performance obligation. If you cannot, then you allocate to all the performance obligation in the same ratio of your SSP. So what it says that variable consideration may be attributable to the entire contract or individual performance obligation or multiple performance obligations also. So if you feel accounting services will be on the time, but the delay will be only because of the auditing and the tax services only. So what you do, you just allocate your penalty between accounting, auditing and tax services only, and not to the accounting services. So it depends how you want to allocate variable consideration is a professional judgment. It can be one POB, it can be multiple performance obligation, it can be two performance obligation, depending how a variable consideration will impact your delivery of services.
And the transaction price change point.
इसको अभी छोड़ते हैं. इट इज कॉल्ड अ कॉन्ट्रैक्ट मॉडिफिकेशन. वी हैव स्किप दिस पर्टिकुलर स्लाइड. आई थिंक यहाँ पर मैंने बोला था देयर विल बी अ कॉन्ट्रैक्ट मॉडिफिकेशन. So we have a slide coming there. So it is something called a change in the existing contract. Suppose आपने काम शुरू कर दिया पेप्सी कंपनी का, and after 6 months you say कि भाई 3000 में sorry 4000 में accounting service नहीं होगी, I am going to charge you 8000. Auditing service will be 18,000 and tax filing will be 15,000. So there is a change in the contract value. So if there is a change in the contract value, how accounting should happen is a contract modification. And this point is also transaction price change, मतलब contract price change. तो इसको बाद में देखते हैं हम लोग. It's a tricky point. ठीक है, एक बार एलोकेशन का एग्जांपल देख लो, मैथमेटिक्स देख लो खास करके. तो एंड वंस दैट इज डन, आप आ जाओ 606 के एग्जांपल पे एंड एग्जांपल नंबर 5 देख लो एक बार.
In this example, they have already given the prices. We don't have the market prices or
They have given you SSP. SSP उन्होंने कोई भी अप्रोच लिया हो सकता है, मार्केट प्राइस, कॉस्ट प्लस प्राइस या रेसिड्यूअल. इट डजंट मैटर फॉर एग्जाम पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू. अंडरस्टैंडिंग इंपॉर्टेंट है कि क्या अप्रोचेस है. But for the mathematical calculation, the model remains the same. First, calculate SSP. Second, calculate the ratio. थर्ड, आपका जो साइन कॉन्ट्रैक्ट वैल्यू है उसको आप रेशियो के साथ मल्टीप्लाई कर लो, विच इज द एलोकेशन ऑफ ट्रांजैक्शन प्राइस. ठीक है, आई थिंक मैथमेटिक्स आर ओके. ऑल क्लियर विद स्टेप नंबर 4, एलोकेशन ऑफ ट्रांजैक्शन प्राइस.
mm,
ठीक है, नाउ आवर फाइनल स्टेप, स्टेप नंबर 5 is how you recognize the revenue for each performance obligation. So what, let's carry on this example and let's carry on the method number 1 only. So I'm just removing method number 2 and 3.
then how will don't remove it completely.
Sorry, come again.
Uh, if you remove, I'll how I have to see it later.
It's just a mathematics. You don't need to remember like how SSP is calculated. You will not be asked to calculate SSP because you don't have the resources available, right? You don't have the costing available. You don't have the market analysis available. So these are just method names. Mathematics remains the same. Let me hide this. In all the method, you just need to calculate SSP. You just need to calculate the ratio. These method names are for your understanding and logic purposes. That how each method works. Okay, now the point is you have to recognize revenue for each performance obligation separately. So your step number 5 is to recognize the revenue for each performance obligation separately. Now this can be, what is the revenue method? Now this revenue can be either a one time or over a time. Now first let's understand logics. हम technical definitions पे नहीं जाते हैं. Suppose you go to Apple store, you purchase a phone. एप्पल का जो रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है फोन देने का, इज इट डन at a one time when they hand over mobile phone to you, or it's for a one full year, 2 year, 3 year? उसका responsibility कब खत्म हो जाता है?
One time.
One time. So generally you will recognize a one time revenue. Let's say accounting services. आपका responsibility वन वन अगर आपका 1 साल का कॉन्ट्रैक्ट है, तो is your responsibilities for 1 day, 1 week, 1 month or 1 year?
1 year.
1 year. So it is called a revenue over a period of time. So पहले तो आपको लॉजिक हमेशा यूज करना है कि कब आपका कंट्रोल ट्रांसफर हो रहा है गुड्स और सर्विस का। अगर कंट्रोल एक बार में ट्रांसफर हो रहा है, तो you recognize a revenue 100% at a one time only. Suppose somebody purchased an iPhone, $1,000 revenue one time when iPhone is delivered to the customer. But accounting services, it's a 12 month services. तो आप हर मंथ में थोड़ा थोड़ा रेवेन्यू लेते जाओगे. So now you can either have a revenue. So question is when control is transferred. This is the technical one. Either a control is transferred one time or it's over a period of time. Now, if it's over a period of time, you have to measure the progress. It means अगर आपको revenue 12 months में लेना है, तो आप 12 months में कैसे लेना चाहते हो? It could be a straight line method of revenue. For example, you had a one accountant, he worked for entire 12 months. It's the same inputs he has used to do the accounting services. So revenue is recognized on a straight line basis. It could be a cost percentage basis, could be a output basis. Let's understand each of the item in detail. Again, exam में नहीं पूछा जाएगा इतना डिटेल में, but understanding बहुत जरूरी है when someone asks you to interpret all this. अकाउंटिंग सर्विसेज को सबसे पहले लेते हैं. You know every month you get a same work. आपको हर मंथ में 10 hours लगाना है to do the accounting services. It's the same input, same data, same working is done by the junior accountant. You say कि it is okay to recognize a straight line revenue. Or let's say housekeeping services. You are staying in an apartment and housekeeping comes to a daily. He picks up the garbage, he cleans the floor, and that person leaves. So it's the same work every day is done by the housekeeping services. So you recognize a straight line revenue. So where the efforts are similar consistently throughout the contract period, you can recognize the straight line revenue. Generally, your services like accounting, payroll, your housekeeping, where the work is similar day and night, it's recorded on a straight line basis. So let's just say this is going to be the over a period revenue and a straight line approach. So per month revenue will be approximately $160. Now let's say second method is cost percentage basis. You feel that your services has a cost involved which is up and down in nature. For example, auditing services, let's say auditing services has started on 15th of December 2028, and two staff, which is a junior accountant, they worked for one entire month. And then audit partner Saad has come for the last 1 week. So now can I say the inputs which are used to deliver the auditing services are not constant? There are 31 full days where a junior accountants were involved, and then in between the last 7 days a partner was involved. So the cost to provide the services or inputs which are used to provide the services, they were not linear, they were changing, they were unlinear. So now what we can do, we can do a cost basis. How it is calculated? Suppose hypothetically we had used 16 days in December and 15 days in Jan. So 16 days in December. Only in December month, only two junior accountant worked, and let's say the cost of two junior accountants were $5,000 for 15 days. They also worked in January, so cost remains the same. Now let's say Sad, the audit partner, was never involved in December, so the cost is zero. And Sad, the audit partner cost for the 1 week which he was involved in finalizing the audit report, let's say it was $25,000. So we can say that in the month of December, my inputs were approximately worth $5,000 value. In January, it was worth $30,000 value. So in December, I have worked approximately 14%, and in January, I have worked around 86%. So how much revenue I can take? So in the month of December,
how did you calculate 86%?
so your 5,000 is the cost involved for the December out of total 35,000 cost. In January, your total cost is $30,000 out of 35,000. So now how much revenue you can attribute? So auditing service or contract value, it's 9583. You have completed around 14% of work in December, and you have completed around 86% of work in January. So if you are using a cost as the basis, as an input basis, then you can recognize 1369 revenue in the month of January and 8215 in the month of, sorry, 1369 in the month of December and 8214 in the month of January. So this is your cost input basis method. Again, technicality इतनी ज्यादा नहीं आएगी unless they want to really get the exam at a higher level. Clear है input basis?
Input basis?
So this is called a input, right? Cost का मतलब क्या हुआ? You input the efforts and you get the output of auditing services. Cost basis और input basis, इसका ये दोनों methods का नाम है input basis and this is called the output basis. ठीक है, clear है?
Yes.
आउटपुट बेसिस जनरली यूज नहीं होता है, हमारे एग्जाम्पल में बैठेगा नहीं. Hypothetically, let's say you are giving a services to the customer across a 2 months और आपके number of units कितने produce हो रहे हैं, those are your basis. Suppose you are giving a one management services, let's say management services on how to reduce the cost to a factory. And let's say you are hypothetically charging a $80,000 across 2 months. Now the question is how 80,000 revenue should be recognized across 2 months. एक option है आपके पास straight line पे चले जाओ, एक option है cost basis पे चले जाओ. Your, let's say you are incurring a 40% cost in the first month, so you recognize 80,000 into 40%. Second month 80,000 into 60%. Or the third method is output basis. So output basis क्या बोलता है? You have a 2 months, month 1 and month 2. Month 1 में you are producing 10,000 units, month 2 में you are producing 12,000 units. So just calculate the ratio. So first month में you are producing approximately 45% unit. Second month में you are producing 54% units. So you just recognize a revenue in the ratio of output which is delivered by your services. Generally, factory industry, production industry में this method can be used. Service industry में it is unlikely to have these methods used. So one time revenue, no methods, straight away 100% revenue one time. Let's say tax return 31st of January, you have picked the data, you have filed the data, all the revenue which is a one time 11,500. This is the entire revenue which is coming one time in January. Auditing services, you have a revenue across 2 periods, December and January. We have used a cost basis because the information given in a such a way that a cost basis was more appropriate. You had a two junior accountant staff for 15 days of December, 15 days of January, and then one audit partner cost in the month of January. So you just calculate what is the inputs which are used to deliver the output, and based on that ratio, you recognize the revenue. Accounting services, you feel a one person has worked evenly throughout the year, so it's better to spread the revenue across entire 12 months. So all these three methods are called our revenue over a period of time. It could be straight line, it could be input cost, percentage basis, or it could be output basis. यहाँ तक क्लियर है मैथमेटिकल कंसिडरेशन? आपको हमेशा लॉजिक यूज करना है अनलेस यू कैन रिमेम्बर द कंडीशंस, बट लॉजिक क्लियर है आपका?
Yeah.
अभी अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड के वर्ड्स देखते हैं कि रेवेन्यू हम कब ओवर अ टाइम ले सकते हैं. सॉरी, सो अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड क्या बोलता है? रेवेन्यू इज recognized over a period of time if any of the three conditions are satisfied. If none of these conditions are fulfilled, then you recognize revenue one point in time. So number one, when entity is performing, an asset is created which is controlled by the customer. Suppose you are in the IT industry and you are building a customized software for the customer, and this software is going to take place 5 years to develop. So whenever you are in progress of developing the software, an IP is created. If this IP is handled by the customer, controlled by the customer, then revenue will be recognized over a period of 5 years and not one time. So that is the first condition. Or second condition, customer is simultaneously receiving and consuming the benefit. Generally, all your monthly services will come here. Accounting services, entity is performing and customer is getting a benefit. Payroll services, entity is performing, customer is getting the benefit. Housekeeping services, entity is performing, customer is getting the benefit. Generally, all the service industry will fall under the second pointer. Third one, the asset has no alternative use and entity has enforceable right to payment if termination happens. Suppose you have hired an architect and the architect is designing a house for you. And let's say this house, it's on your land and the contract is for 2 years. After the 6 months, a basement is completed. There is a dispute between architect and you. And now the question is on architect, whether architect can recognize any revenue or not. So if the property which is built by architect has no alternative use, it will be the case because it's your specific property built for you, but he has right to receive the payment till the date of termination of 6 months. If this is the conditions meet, he can recognize revenue over a period of time. However, suppose contract says that if the contract is terminated in between, the architect will not get any money, then he cannot recognize revenue over a time. Or think from a builder point of view. A builder is building a property scheme of 100 apartment. Let's say Saad has purchased a one apartment and payment terms are 3 years. Now Saad has made a year one payment. He has defaulted in year two payment. Now, can I say that if Saad is not going to pay builder on the due date, then builder can cancel the agreement, but he can also resell the flat to a prospective buyer? If answer is yes, then it means the apartment has the alternative use. If Saad cannot purchase it or Saad defaults, somebody else will step in as a prospective buyer and builder will sell to that party. So it is called a asset with a alternative use. However, if your contract says that a property once sold by the builder cannot be resold even in the event of the default, then it will be said that asset having a no alternative use. So these are the three technical conditions. If you can remember, good. If you know, if you cannot, just use the logic that how a control is transferred.
For
So if
the
any of this, हाँ जी बोलिए.
for the first one, aren't we giving the product and we have satisfied the obligation? So why is it not a point in time?
So product is not delivered at a 3 months time phase. Suppose you have started building your tax audit tool. This tool will be created over 5 years of term. So first 3 months is to understand your requirement. The next 3 months is to build a prototype. The next 6 months is to do an initial development, and year end comes up. So 9 months of work is done. The asset is not completed, but whatever IP and prototype are created by you, it is controlled by the customer. It's an asset of the customer, work in progress asset. So it is called a customer controls the asset. If you deliver the product at a one go, then revenue will be satisfied at a point in time.
Okay.
Okay, now in the bracket, they have given a certain measurement input. When they use a word input, it means a cost incurred, hours incurred. So whatever inputs are used to calculate a measure of the progress. If they say output, it means generally a factory units, factory milestones, all those things. So if three conditions are fulfilled, revenue over a period of time. If three conditions are not fulfilled, by default revenue is completed at a point in time. ठीक है, स्टेप 5 में कोई भी क्वेश्चन?
Mm,
चलिए आ जाइए आपके बुक पे, एक बार स्टेप 5 देख लेते हैं. सो ओवर टू यू. स्टेप 5, ओवर अ पीरियड ऑफ टाइम की तीन कंडीशन, एंड देयर इज समथिंग कॉल्ड आउटपुट मेथड, इनपुट मेथड. थियोरेटिकल पॉइंट है, मोर इम्पोर्टेंट टू अंडरस्टैंड हाउ मैथमेटिक वर्क्स बेस्ड ऑन दिस आउटपुट मेथड्स एंड इनपुट मेथड. उसके बाद एग्जांपल देख लो. So you have 2 points to resolve until example number 6. एक बार quickly देख लो, कोई question है तो पूछ लो.
no, so for at point in time, we'll just assume it's not overtime.
Yes. So if conditions are not met over a time, then by default it will be at a point in time. चलिए एक बार हो जाए तो बताना।
हाँ।
चलिए आ जाइए मास्टर रैब्रिक एग्जाम्पल पे, और फर्स्ट स्क्रीनशॉट ऑफ क्वेश्चन बनना शुरू कीजिए। टास्क फॉर यू, सोल्यूशन बाद में हम लोग ट्राई करेंगे, whether it's matching or not, I don't know. So task for you is to fill this template. Kind of simulation आपको आ सकता है. This is the question. Step 1, identify करिए what is the contract term. Step number 2, list your performance obligation. Step number 3, आपको SSP दिया गया है. So just put SSP, do the ratio calculation and allocate the price. स्टेप नंबर 4, मंथ वाइज जर्नल एंट्री, यहाँ पर आप पहले अकाउंट्स सब डालोगे, व्हाट आर द डेबिट्स एंड अकाउंट्स अमाउंट, सेम अकाउंट्स एंड अमाउंट, मंथ 1 से लेके 14 तक क्या एंट्रीज जाएगी इफ एनी. सो ओवर टू यू, फिल दिस पर्टिकुलर टेम्पलेट. वंस इट इज डन अब मेरे को बताइए. My contract term is 2 months. Is there a termination clause given?
Mm,
So what is your contract term? Contract term is a present enforceable term. Is there anywhere written that customer can terminate after the end of 2 months?
no,
So what is your contract term? What is your present enforceable term?
14 months.
Correct. ठीक है. What is the entry when you receive a cash in advance? How 19,250 came?
Uh, because we still have not earned it.
How calculation come 19,250?
98,000 minus 75,000 to 50 minus 1750 minus 1750.
Okay, your logic is right. Then you need to
I
add
need
one more account here. So let's
contract
add.
asset credit.
Okay, and what is the amount? What is already recognized? So that's okay. You have done a net entry. That's perfectly okay. एक बार try कर लो. Debit is equal to credit. This is 77. This is 98. ठीक है. I think now your normal entries will run deferred debit to revenue credit 1750 each month. ठीक है. I think this looks good. कोई भी question is कोई भी doubt यहाँ तक के पूरे topic पे?
Mm, mm, mm,
Looks good.
mm.
Concepts are sharp, and this ends officially whatever 606 you have in backer. Now
Yeah,
we are
construction accounting, and I'll have to share.
करेंगे. Construction accounting is a different topic. Let's not mix with rev rec अभी. Construction is all about cost completion and percentage completion method. उसको देखेंगे बाद में. Now in 606 you have 4 topics still left जो आपके बुक में नहीं दिए गए हैं बट दे टेस्टेड. ये हमें करना है नेक्स्ट सेशन में. क्या क्या पॉइंट है? कॉन्ट्रैक्ट मॉडिफिकेशन. यहाँ पर 3 पॉसिबिलिटी है मॉडिफिकेशन की. न्यू कॉन्ट्रैक्ट, एक्सिस्टिंग कॉन्ट्रैक्ट, क्यूमुलेटिव कैचअप इम्पैक्ट. सो अगेन अ फुल एग्जांपल विल बी रिक्वायर्ड टू अंडरस्टैंड. प्लस ये कॉन्ट्रैक्ट मॉडिफिकेशन का इफेक्ट क्या होता है आपके एसएसपी एलोकेशन पे. So all these things are pending. So this is the first topic in the next session. Presentation we have already completed. The second topic we have to cover is a gross versus net reporting. Demo session में एक बार किया था, but we will do it again. That if there is a 3 party involved, how a revenue is recognized by each party. Combination of contract हमने किया है, but mathematics नहीं किया है. So we have to check one example for mathematical combination of contract as well, and how SSP allocation works there. Next topic we have to do is a licensing revenue. Again आपकी backer में नहीं है, but this gets tested. So suppose Netflix, Amazon Prime, Hotstar, how they recognize the revenue. Or let's say there is a Pepsi logo, Range Rover logo, Rolls-Royce logo. If they give their logo to someone to use, then how a revenue is recognized. So something is recognized at a point in time, something is over a time. So this we have to do. And the last one is a non-cash consideration. If you see in this slide, we have skipped this point, non-cash consideration. So we have to see what happens when two television channels, like the Star Sports and Netflix, they trade off the business without a cash involved in the transaction. So this all are the advanced topics which are there a part of the accounting standard, not in the backer. But we have to see all these 4 slides in detail, and then we will be done with the revenue accounting, and then we will start with the construction accounting. Construction accounting falls with the similar concept, but वहाँ पर 2 और methods है, cost completion and percentage completion. So we will see that as well as a example. ठीक है. And on this weekend, let's have a exam for revenue recognition, whatever is done so far. Plus, let's add ratio analysis. Let's have technical topic EPS. Let's have subsequent events type 1, type 2. And let's have conversion of accrual into the cash. So that is a special purpose framework. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 topic exam for this weekend.
I had a question. Is it
So go
possible in Becker that they can? So I was doing a simulation in
ahead.
Becker, and it was a to make a cash modified accrual statement. Would
Modified
that
accrual
come,
told you
or
that's a
that was
government accounting. Modified accrual अभी नहीं आएगा. Modified accrual will come into the FAR 6 governmental accounting जहाँ पर कैश के कुछ कॉन्सेप्ट्स और accrual के कॉन्सेप्ट्स मिक्स होकर एक हाइब्रिड मेथड बनता है which we have not done so far.
okay? Mm.
चलिए ठीक है. So I'll see you in the next session, Saturday morning my time, and then we will wrap up this RevRec advanced topics.
Okay. The this time, right? 7 or
I think Saturday we can be back at 6 a.m. India time. So I think today I'm still in UAE, but I think we should be good Saturday morning my time at 6 a.m.
okay.
Okay, bye.